വായിച്ചാലും വളരും, വായിച്ചില്ലെങ്കിലും വളരും. വായിച്ചു വളർന്നാൽ വിളയും, വായിക്കാതെ വളർന്നാൽ വളയും എന്ന് കുഞ്ഞുണ്ണി മാഷ് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ തന്നെ വായനയുടെ പ്രാധാന്യം നാം മനസ്സിലാക്കിയതാണ്. വളർച്ച എന്നുള്ളത് ശാരീരികമായൊരു പ്രക്രിയ മാത്രമല്ല, നാം മാനസികമായും ചിന്താത്മകമായും വളരേണ്ടിയിരിക്കുന്നു. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ ജീവിതത്തിൽ വായന അത്യന്താപേക്ഷിതമാണ്. വായന നമ്മെ ഒരുപാട് കാര്യങ്ങൾ പരിചയപ്പെടുത്തുന്നു. പുതിയ ആളുകളെ, പുതിയ ഇടങ്ങളെ, പുതിയ സംസ്കാരങ്ങളെ പരിചയപ്പെടുത്തുന്നു. ഇതിലൂടെ ഒരു വ്യക്തി എന്ന നിലയിൽ നാം നമ്മുടെ സ്ഥാനത്ത് നിന്നും ഉയരുകയാണ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. നാം ചിന്താത്മകമായി ഉയർന്നു ചിന്തിക്കുവാനും പക്വത കൈവരിക്കുവാനും വായന സഹായിക്കുന്നു. N.S.S ട്രെയിനിങ് കോളേജ്, ഒറ്റപ്പാലം കോളേജ് യൂണിയൻ, ഭാഷാവേദിയും സംയുക്തമായി ചേർന്ന് വായന പക്ഷാചരണത്തിൻ്റെ 4ാം നാളിൽ ട്രാൻസ്ലേറ്ററും കേരള സ്റ്റേറ്റ് ഹയർ എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ കൗൺസിലിൽ റിസർച്ച് ഓഫീസറും സെൻറ്റ് തെരേസാസ് കോളേജ് ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെൻറ്റിൽ അസിസ്റ്റന്റ് പ്രൊഫസറുമായിട്ടുള്ള പ്രിയ നായർ മാമിന് വായനയെക്കുറിച്ച് നമ്മോട് പങ്കുവെക്കുവാനുള്ളത് നോക്കാം.
Hello, thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak to you about reading. What can be more pleasurable than the process of reading? What can bring you more happiness than words is what I would like to say. And when we talk about a day kept aside for reading, calling it a reading day or a week kept apart for reading, I think we must read every single day of our lives, and not just newspapers. We should make it a point to read fiction. We should make it a point to read poetry, non-fiction, scientific articles. Otherwise, how will we grow? How will we evolve as human beings? And when we speak about reading and learning, we should realize that for a long period of time, these activities were denied to a large section of the population. There were people in India, particularly people belonging to particular castes, women. All these sections of the population were denied access to learning and reading, and therefore reading was actually a very elite activity till it was democratized and learning became available for everyone. And I think when we talk about reading now in this age of information, ignorance is just a matter of choice, because at your fingertips you have information, you have all sorts of ideas floating around you. You just have to take the trouble to find out. And I think this spirit of curiosity is what makes us develop as human beings, what makes us evolve as human beings. And if scientists had not been curious, if writers had not been curious, we would not have had so many positive experiences in life. And libraries, I think, are repositories of knowledge. They're beautiful places, and I hope the young generation of today will find comfort within the pages of a book as they sit in a library. The smell of books, the mere act of touching a book. I think this is something that may change, because now more and more people are reading digitally. So in whatever form we read, I think that is one thing that should be focused upon. Read. And we as a species, human beings as a species, are known to be a narrative species. We tell stories. From time immemorial, we have been telling stories, whether it is the form of myth, legends, whether it is moral parables. All these were passed from generation to generation in the form of oral narratives. And it was much later that we started recording it, writing it down on tablets first, and then paper, and then once again we move into the world of tablets. And I think we've come a full circle. We began with icons. Ancient human beings used to paint pictures on the walls of their caves in order to communicate, and then we sort of started writing in words, in letters. And now you put up icons on the wall of your Facebook or your social media handle. We have come full circle. We've come back to the language of the icons and the image. But I think, unless and until we read, our vocabulary will not increase. Our active vocabulary will dwindle. And when there is no vocabulary, the passive vocabulary by its very nature is going to stagnate. So I guess, to activate your vocabulary, you need to read more. And reading also activates your imagination. So there's a huge difference, right? When you watch a movie and you read the book. The movie might be an adaptation of the book, but despite that, something is lost in the adaptation. What is lost is your ability to imagine a different world, your ability to let your mind soar above the mundane. This is what is lost when a book is adapted into a movie. So I have students who tell me that, why should I read a book? Why can't I just watch a movie? I would just tell them that, you're losing the experience of savoring words, savoring the tone of words. And that is where poetry also becomes so beautiful, because poetry ought to be read aloud. Each sound, the sound of the word has a particular meaning as well. So these are the beauties of reading. And not just this, there is an aspect of reading which makes us very inclusive in the way we think. No longer will we think of the other. People who do not make the same choices that we do, people who speak different languages, eat different kinds of food, we do not see them as the other, but rather we see them as part of ourselves, or we see us as part of them. And reading is one way to become very inclusive in your thinking. Otherwise, there will always be a dichotomy between me and you. But when you read about different people, different cultures, different experiences, somewhere we realize that there is a common bond which makes us all belong to this particular space called the earth. And I wish you a very enriched reading life, a life which is filled with books. Thank you very much.